How you doing, guys? So today's video is on some improvements and fine-tuning my Delta 14-inch bandsaw. These apply to any bandsaw, and I hope you guys enjoy. It's really a good video for any woodworker to watch. First, we're going to open up the service ports, take a look at the pulley, which is housed here, and then open up the bottom of the motor. Now we're going to turn it on and see what it does when it makes that noise. If you look at the bottom motor, it's wobbling up and down. After looking closely at the motor when it was running, there was a wobble in it. Now, if I look, the back of the motor is actually pitched downward and the front's pitched upward. So what we're going to do, we're going to try to adjust the pitch on this motor and see if that takes care of the problem. You can see yourself how the back of it goes downward and the front goes upward. Alright guys, next up, after we get our belts tension, we are going to come right in here and we're going to take off our upper flywheel and take the bolt off and inspect the tension mechanisms. We'll hold the door open. I'm putting in a nice clamp right there. And all you gotta do is undo this bolt. It's not on there very tight and there's not a lot of tension. And as you can see, and this just pops right off, like so. We want to get to this entire mechanism here in the back. Next, we're just going to hit this with a little degreaser and a brush. We want to take the burrs and built up crud that's on here off. Now we just got some 400 grit sandpaper. There's a riser in my piece. However, normally you just have one large upper arm connecting to the lower arm, which is right here. You want to clean the paint off in there, especially when you have a riser like this. You have even more painted surfaces, so you want to take it apart and kick off all the factory paint. It's something they don't do at the factory. It's easier for them just to process it like that. However, when you care about precision, like what we do here with woodworking, you want everything to be square and not have any play. So what we're doing is we're going to take it apart, but we're cleaning the joint here and here with paint. Next up, we're going to remove the table and clean up our trunnions. We'll take the one off the other side and then the top will come off. The top can be a little heavy, so you want to be careful. This is what's called the trunnion right here. It's what the table glides and moves on. A lot of times there's imperfections from the factory burrs and whatnot that we obviously want to clean out. Also, there's a whole bunch of sawdust down here we're going to take care of since we're at it. Little WD-40 and a wire brush. We're going to clean up the surfaces just like we did up top. Once they're clean, we're going to hit it with some 400 and 800 grit sandpaper just to make sure it's nice and smooth. Alright. Here's our 800 grit paper, again, a little WD-40. We're going to wet sand this so it's nice and smooth. We want smoothly mated surfaces that glide perfectly across each other. With the tabletop replaced, we now have the opportunity to take a look at your lower assembly. I have ball bearings on mine. You can see they flow pretty smoothly. Some people have wood. If you do have wood or blocks, you want to make sure that they're at a 90-degree angle. You also want to take the opportunity to lubricate everything down here. Clean it with some WD-40, and then put some, just some oil down if you have it. I use white lithium grease in the top. That works fine too. But for these, I'd probably use just some basic oil. As you can tell, I have to. These aren't spinning as well as the fronts. I'm going to replace them. I have them on order. You just want to make sure this is all nice and clean. You want to take a look at your thrust bearing, which is right here. For me, it's going good. That's set. This right here, when we put the table back on, is our leveling screw. What it does is you have the table right here, and you either raise or lower it to make the table perfectly level. Okay, we'll adjust that quickly when we put the top back on. Take a look at your top ones. As you can tell, they're doing good. I don't need to really clean them or make any adjustments. As a general rule, you want these to get as close as possible to the blade without actually touching the blade. Okay. Same thing with the wood or composite squares some people use also. You don't want your thrust bearing, which is back there, touching the blade either, but you want it really close. And the reason why is when your blade is running straight through here, you don't want it to be pushed too far and drift. Okay, you want it to hit a bearing, hold in place, and continue your cut. With everything set, we're going to get our white lithium grease and put just a little amount on. Since you just put the top on, one good thing to do is you always want to sand and wax your top so everything slides across it real smooth and rust doesn't develop. If you have an older top and you want to restore it, you could follow the same process. I have a video that I made on how to do that. If you guys want to look at it, it's in the library for my channel. Either way, what we're going to do next is we're going to get a straight edge, and we're going to lay it across the wheels. We want to make sure they're in the same plane with each other. Now, is we want to make sure the upper wheel and the lower wheel are in the same plane. For that, I got my trusty straight edge, and now we're just going to set it up. So I'm putting constant pressure on the lower wheel, and I'm comparing it up to the top wheel. And it looks like we got about 1/8 of an inch for a gap. So what we're going to do to resolve that is we're going to take this top wheel off because it needs to come out 1/8 inch this way, and we're going to add a couple washers on. I went out and I picked out one of these 5/8 of an inch machine bushings. I was going to get washers, but the bushing seemed a little bit more appropriate for the job at hand. I think it was like 66 cents. Either way, I took the wheel off, like I showed you guys, and I've added that in. There was already an existing one on there. After I checked them both with the straight edge, like I did earlier, they're both absolutely parallel now. So I'm thinking that was maybe one of the issues I had with this bandsaw in the past and why it worked a little unsteady. Next up, we're going to install the blade. What I'm going to do, just so you guys can see, is I'm going to have that clamp there to keep everything open. We're going to take out our short plate insert. You also have a little metal stop right here. What that does is it just makes it so you're opening, you can slide the blade through over time, it doesn't creep close and adjust the squareness of cast iron. So we got our blade. Going to adjust it through. Just like so. Have it go between your guides. As you can see, the blade is in the guide here. And in the bottom it is also. With the blade inserted, what we got to do is we're going to turn our knob right here, and you're going to see the tension go and increase. Okay, we're going to stop it when it gets to the correct diameter blade that we're using. Now, because these are notoriously don't give you enough pressure, what we're going to do is we're going to go beyond it. So, for example, if we're at a 1/4 inch bit, which is right here, we're actually going to go as if it was a 3/8 of an inch bit to give us the extra tension. That blade tension is responsible for everything in these saws, and it's very important that you have that. If you don't, you're not going to get the quality cut you want. Another thing with your saw is the spring in here. It's something you couldn't replace. If you have a used saw, or you have a saw you've had for a while and you've never replaced the spring, it's a good idea to replace it with an aftermarket one. This is what they call a Cobra spring. It's about a $20 aftermarket spring that was put in there some time ago, so I didn't replace it today, but it's something you want to consider for your saw. What we're going to do now is adjust what they call the tracking of the wheel. What that means is you turn the wheel by hand, and you can see where the blade is on here, and what you do is you just turn your knob here, and what that does is it gets your blade and it'll adjust it accordingly. So the objective is this blade is in the center, or the crown as they call it, of the wheel. And the reason why that's important is the wheel actually is notched upward, and you want the blade at the center, and that allows you to get the best possible cut. So we're going to adjust that real quick here. One thing I could never remember for the life of me was when I turn this little knob right here, is it right or left that makes the blade go in or outward? What I did was I got my label maker, and I made a little label, as you can see right here, telling me if I move it to the left or counterclockwise, it moves the blade towards the door. So I have that as a reference, so I'll remember which way the blade's going. Fine dust collection builds up a lot in bandsaws. Normally the factory dust collection isn't enough. For that reason, we're going to install this dust collection port in the bottom. We're going to start by using a metal punch to make a purchase point in the metal. We're going to drill a 4-inch diameter hole through the cabinet door. We're going to use caulk so the vacuum fitting seals perfectly against the door. Finally, we're going to secure it with a couple self-tapping screws. We're going to use a little aluminum HVAC tape to make sure the inside is perfectly smooth. Sawdust builds up a lot on the wheel of the bandsaw. For that reason, I purchased this nice little brush package here for just that purpose. Simply, all I have to do is drill a pilot hole and screw it on, and it'll brush all the dust off of my wheel. We're going to start by drilling the pilot hole. With the brush in place, we're just going to screw it in. It works great. Like always, guys, thanks for watching. Feel free to like or subscribe, and I look forward to reading the comments that you guys write down. Have a great day.